The Alchemist, this is your key card for the month moving forward. That's May 2016. I'll explain that in a moment, and I'll just pop that into there. So what I do is I combine numerology with the Tree of Life. This combination then creates the life codes. And so what we're going to look at is the archetypes. These are the archetypes here, through the consciousness line as your month ahead as an intuitive, sensitive person. So these are the areas that you should be looking at, focusing on, or thinking about for the month moving ahead. These are your main energies. Okay, so if we start here, which is around the 1, this is you in the everyday world. So this is you in terms of what affects you, what impacts you in your everyday life, in your working life, in your social life, in your life in general. So what we have here at the moment is the student. So what that means for the month ahead is that your focus will be on learning something new. So that learning something new doesn't necessarily mean taking a course or something, but it means learning something new about life. That may be for you that you're starting something in terms of a course, but generally what it means is that something will be quite profound for you in the month coming ahead, because you will be looking at something that you haven't learnt before. Okay, so normally we see this coming up as far as relationships are concerned, and that does relate to this alchemist here, which I will speak of in a moment, and how that matches together. So bear in mind, in your everyday life, in the outer world, you will be focusing on or feeling that you've learnt something really quite strong in May 2016. What we have here on the 32nd path, which is your connector between your everyday world and the unconscious, the subconscious, we're also looking at this energy quite strongly this year anyway, because this energy here is what is impacting people, what is affecting people. It's very much about endings before new beginnings. But this here, the 32nd path for you in May 2016, what you're focusing on is the shape shifter. So things are changing. So anything that you've been working on, anything that you felt you've needed to work on in terms of your inner world and how that is now reflected in your outer world, things are noticeably changing. And they are changing quite a lot, to the extent that something seems the way it is one moment and then it changes. As it is, changes. As it is, changes. And this shapeshifter energy here as your connector is a positive. It's a positive way of looking at things, very positive, because it means that you are comfortable, or starting to become comfortable, with allowing change and allowing things to move forward. What you do have here in the position 3, which is actually the 9 vibration of the subconscious, what we're looking at is the Hermit. So the month ahead, in terms of your inner world, you are at a point of reflection. So there has been quite a lot of change, and so rather than things being out of your control, it's a lot more of things being inside your control, and you being aware of a lot of those things that previously have been very much tucked to the back of your mind, ignored. You've brought those more into your own light in months previous, so through the beginning part of this year, and so therefore this part of you is now more comfortable and going through a stage of reflection and thinking about things. It doesn't mean hiding yourself away, that's not how it will feel, but it will feel quiet and reflective. So this also features where it pushes through into your everyday world, which is you're then in a space to actually absorb something, learn something that's really quite important to you. Now, as we move into this area here, which is we're looking at the soul vibration in position 4, and what we have in here the addict. What you will find that on a deeper level, much more than your everyday level, is that you will start to notice those things, in the obvious sense, the addictions, but those habits that you've had, and they're deep, strong habits that you've had for too long, but you've never really wanted to address before. Now you'll find yourself at a place where it's comfortable to look at them and to address them. Why? Because you've evened things out here, where they're easier for you to accept, digest, and not go into denial over. So therefore, anything that's really deeply tucked away, habits that have formed over your own life, but maybe those habits that have been there through the generations, emotional habits that have been there through the generations, that things that you've learnt through through your heritage, through your ancestors, as we do. We do inherit some of their emotional ways of doing things. It's not just biological things that move through the generations, it's also emotional. So for this to be in the soul energy, it means that those inherited things over a long period of time, do deep aspects of the emotions and habits, patterns, are coming up for a time of reflection to have a look at, or they become more obvious as to what they are. So it's much easier, therefore, to deal with those. So any habits, any patterns that you've had in terms of repeating patterns that have been really quite annoying for you, will start to become something that you can recognise and move on from in this month moving forward. Now, here, which is your connector between the 5 and the 4, this path across here, which is in order for things to manifest in our everyday world, there has to be an aspect of will and love involved for these two things to come together, for enough momentum for them to kind of be pushed into our everyday world. So this connector path is extremely important. What have you got there? Well, you're getting to the bottom of things. We've got the detective here. You've got into the bottom of things that are really important to you. So when you put will and love together, it becomes something that's really important. This works very well with this addict. So you're absolutely getting to the bottom of things that have been patterns, long-term patterns for a lifetime and beyond. You're finally getting to understand what those are. You're getting strong aha moments, not on an everyday level, it's much more on a deep level, on a spiritual level. And these are transformative times. Okay, so this is something that's very transformative. And this is where the student comes into play, which is something you're learning, but you've never really seen it before. So it becomes something very much to light. It becomes something that's very strong for you. Now, what do we have here? This is the important one, which is the alchemist. Now, this is in the area of Darth, but it's also in the area of relationships. Okay, so what's Darth? Darth is about transformation. This is about things that are deeply transformative. They're the challenges, they're the things that we don't expect, but actually we've learnt the most from. This is very relevant, obviously, as far as relationships are concerned, because obviously with relationships we learn a lot about ourselves that we weren't particularly aware of previously. Good things, not so good things. So the alchemist, what does the alchemist do? Well, to put it politely, the alchemist turns what's rubbish into gold. So things that haven't been so good, and then suddenly it's turned into something that's really a gem. It's gold. It's something that is worth its weight in gold, so to speak. So what does that mean as far as relationships are concerned? So you are in May 2016 learning something about relationships, about your relationship with yourself, also those things that have been through the generations into your everyday world, and you're learning things that have been really rubbish in your life, and you're now beginning to learn what their weight in gold has been, what those transformations have been, and what has been the purpose behind them, so that it doesn't feel like it was just a useless learning curve, or that it was something that was pushed into your life that was meant to be somehow deeply uncomfortable. This is about you in May 2016 really having a clear insight into what's been rubbish and taking the gold from it, really taking it on, understanding it, and moving on and moving forward, which is very new, something that's very new in your everyday world. It's not something that you're wholly used to. Now we've got the hero / heroine here in position 7, which is the ultimate view. So this is how you can then view things from the peak point through into your life. What have we got in terms of what does this mean? So you've got the hero / heroine. What it means is, instead of you being the rescuer in life, as in rescuing other people and not being thanked for it, something that's very strong for an intuitive sensitive, we tend to find that that happens. You are now the hero or the heroine in your own life. Okay, so it's about you then realizing on a deep level, much deeper level, that you are your own rescuer, that you are your own solver of issues, that you are your own, all that learning, all of those things that feel or have felt uncomfortable for a long period of time, finally coming to a place of understanding and resolution, and you feeling that you are the hero, your own hero, and welcoming that. I hope you found that this session has been helpful. So just a couple of insights into what I have for May 2016 that you may be interested in. Well, actually the main thing that I have is on the 17th of May, Tuesday the 17th of May, I will be doing a free webinar on enlightenment. So enlightenment as far as the intuitive sensitive person is concerned. I hope you'll be able to join me for that. Bye for now. Necessarily mean taking a course or something, but it means learning something new about life. That may be for you that you're starting something in terms of a course, but generally what it means is that something will be quite profound for you in the month, in your working life, in your social life, in your life in general. So what we have here at the moment is the student. So what that means for the month ahead is that your focus will be on learning something new. So that learning something new doesn't ascend, creates the life codes. And so what we're going to look at is the archetypes. These are the archetypes here, through the consciousness line as your month ahead as an intuitive sensitive person. So these are the areas that you should be looking at, focusing on, or thinking about for the month moving ahead. These are your main energies. Okay, so if we start here, which is around the 1, this is you in the everyday world. So this is you in terms of what affects you, what impacts you in your everyday life. In the Alchemist, this is your key card for the month moving forward. That's May 2016. I'll explain that in a moment, and I'll just pop that into there. So what I do is I combine numerology with the Tree of Life. This combination